Richard,
Yeah, I think
how you
we're
holding up, man?
good. Yeah, you can hear me. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Just today doing some pre-planning and packing for I have a trip in Yosemite next week for 4 days.
Nice.
And then I guess after that, are you going on a trip? You said not next week, but the week after. I think you said.
Yeah, 30th of June, I'm going to BC. Got that Juan de Fuca trail for 5 days that I'm doing.
Oh yeah, 5 days. So what are the details of that? Do you buy food along the way or pack everything in advance?
Packed everything in advance, man. I bring it all with me.
Oh yeah, so for 5 days, what does that food look like?
Dehydrated. Um, yeah, mostly dehydrated, non-perishable. So, like for breakfast is going to be a bunch of seeds and oats that I throw water in, and then I just let sit for a bit. And I'm looking at maybe some peanut butter. I want it natural stuff, but I don't know how long that will last on the trail. So, it'd be nice to have some, you know, dehydrated fruit and stuff, but I don't know if I'll be able to get that in time.
Because peanut butter would get like too hot or something.
Like peanut butter, like normal peanut butter is fine. Like it can last for quite a while, but like natural peanut butter,
Oh,
which is what I normally eat, or almond butter,
it has to be
might
like
not be able.
refrigerated.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can do that. I'll have to take a look to see how long it would last for.
I met somebody once who just when they hike they just bring bread and cheese. Apparently,
Yeah, yeah, I heard that from you.
yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
yeah. I wouldn't do it like exclusively, but it's pretty. It would be nice to have like some bread and cheese out in the woods.
Yeah, milk is has lots of good stuff, but for me, I have an intolerance to it. So
Yeah, I think I might as well at least like direct dairy milk. I haven't. I've like sort of cut back on my in taking that stuff, and then whenever I do, I feel kind of strange.
you feel strange when you cut back on it.
No, now that I have cut back, whenever I like drink, like if I drink a bunch of milk or something, then I'll feel like kind of bloated or just like my stomach feels weird.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But I don't know. I guess I get enough vitamin D from the sun. Maybe in the winter though. One doctor told me like take vitamin D supplement like in the winter when you're not getting very much light, especially if you're not like drinking milk. So I always
I
have to
would
think
recommend
about that.
vitamin D like all year round. Just one pill
Yeah, I
because you
think
may
with
not.
vitamins, I think it's like you can't like taking too much doesn't do any harm, but then the question is I guess it's just a money question. Like, do people care if they're spending money on vitamins that aren't doing anything except for like obviously they would do something in the winter if you're not getting enough vitamin D. But I feel like it's quite easy to like get too many vitamins, which just means like there's no point to like taking the access other than to be like extra safe or something like that.
Well, the issue is too much of a particular vitamin, even the natural stuff, can lead to issues. So, for instance, vitamin E, I was taking that thinking that was good for hormone production. I read it in one of my books that we don't get enough vitamin E in our diet and that we should take that supplement, and then it helps with our hormone production. And then, as I'm discovering more about hair loss, because with hair loss, it's a battle, and there's tracking required. There's a whole bunch of stuff like research is needed, education is needed to be able to fight your fight because everybody has their own hair loss to fight. You got to get a diagnosis first. You gotta then determine the appropriate treatments for you. There's treatment horizons. So basically, anything to do with hair loss takes forever before it works. So, for instance, like most treatments take at least 3 months before you see anything. But like massage will take between 8 months and 12 months before you actually see any growth. That's a long time to be massaging your head.
Oh
twice a
yeah.
day and not see any benefits. The point is I'm learning more and more about this stuff by following this guy on YouTube, and he talks about vitamin E because that and a different supplement or different vitamin or thing that we take by taking vitamins was actually linked to aggressive prostate cancer.
Hmm.
So I'm like, I'm stopping my vitamin E supplementation right away because, yeah,
Yeah, it would make sense if it was the case. Like if somebody says we're not getting enough vitamin E, then I feel like we should just change the foods we're eating, and that could probably do it. Like I feel like pure
yep,
vitamins, because even I guess the vitamins themselves, like if we eat a food with vitamin E, we're getting all these other things as well. But the pure essence of any vitamin is just kind of is like too pure in some sense. Like I feel like we might want a little bit of variation, and like varying levels are good. Like these, anything like precise or like purified is not maybe getting us like the full range of benefits that we'd get with just regular like food.
like the thing is like we could eat like we can try to eat well, but our soils are depleted, becoming more and more depleted as time goes on, because we're pulling out all the nutrients. And I know that the farmers rotate crops and they try to infuse it again with uh, nitrogen or whatever's required, whatever the plants need. And then they'll put peanuts in to pull out bad shit, and we eat peanuts because we think it's yummy and good. But yet, they use that to pull out bad shit, and they do their best to try to keep the nutrients in the soil. But we have pulled out various minerals and nutrients from the soil that isn't replenishable, and we're not getting that in our diet like we used to when we were doing hunter
Right.
gatherer foraging. And so, keeping that in mind, we can try to eat super healthy, but we're still going to miss certain things. And I can't, at the top of my head, name off the minerals, the things that we're missing, but there are some that we are missing.
Yeah, I've heard that
And
before.
supplementation
Yeah.
can help with that. But outside of that, I mean, we don't need to take a multivitamin. We don't. Like there was, what's his lips there? Steve, Steve Harvey. He has a shake out there because he was feeling low energy in his older age, and brought in some scientists, and they did a bunch of stuff and realized his mitochondria aren't producing energy like they're supposed to, and it's linked to old age. I'm like, yeah, it's linked to diet too and hormones, but he never touched on the hormone piece. And so he basically, part of it was what we need from the soil isn't there. It was one thing. Getting older affects us, and then there was something else too. I think it was like stress. But like with what he was proposing for people to take, this is supposed to apparently rejuvenate all the mitochondria in our body, so every single cell that has one. I'm like, that is interesting. It could also be because he works crazy amounts, barely sleeps. His what's his diet like? There's so many questions that came to mind, and I thought he was gonna nail the hormone thing, but I don't think he did. I think he's just trying to sell a product, right? At the end of the day, and he's putting the Steve Harvey his name behind a product. I mean, it's going to sell because people are they believe in him, and even if the product doesn't actually, they say they have the science behind it. Even if the product doesn't actually do anything over time, because there's no scientific studies yet for it. Just a placebo effect by itself. People are going to believe it's going to work, and that's going to energize people.
Yeah,
So
there's so many products that are like exactly that. But I guess what's
yeah,
interesting about food is like if they have a scientific study that says that like a certain ingredient has a certain effect, then there's still no need to buy like the name brand shake. Like whatever, just look at the study, look at the ingredients, and then just go buy foods with those ingredients in them. Like it's not like they're discovering like a new molecule or something. It's like these like any combination of the things that our body needs are in all the other foods, and like a shake is just one way of like delivering a convenient combination, and they charge a certain price, but like I've heard that like grinding up, anything that's in like shake liquid form, you destroy all the fiber anyway. And so if you just found those same nutrients and ate them in like raw food form, well then you'd get everything you need plus like fiber, is what my understanding. So it's sort of like a weird. It's just that people don't have enough time to like learn just how much they don't need don't need things.
Yeah, there's a lot of excess. I just food is the second most important thing in a healthy lifestyle next to sleep. Sleep is the foundation. Food is also a huge part of it. You can do everything else like exercise and have limited stress and have family and community, which are all important to a healthy lifestyle. If you don't have sleep and you don't have a healthy diet, you just collapse. Like the rest, actually, I don't think is sustainable without those two in place. Because I mean, you just fall apart,
Yeah.
and it happens at a hormonal level, but it also happens within your body. Like literally, you fall apart without proper nutrients, without sleep to repair yourself. So it's the foundation to, I would say, not just a healthy lifestyle, but to being happy. And we tend to, we're all searching for the truth. We all want the truth, and people are only marketing. Like they're marketing what we want to hear, but they're not giving us the full solution, which is lifestyle, which is it's pretty obvious, but they're only taking a small little piece and they're marketing that like this will change your life, this will cause you to lose weight. But it in itself, no, it won't,
Right.
because your hormones are all connected and they're all influenced by by the other components of your lifestyle. So I mean, you could actually, and I can testify to this: perfect sleep, perfect diet. So back when I was at home, uh, exercise 6 days a week, and but there's the other component that was missing: the family community and feeling fulfilled with my job, and all this other stuff. And the stress was even brought down because I started to chill a little bit at work. But yeah, when my stress was higher, that was kind of derailing everything. But even though I had like the first three components of a healthy lifestyle wired tight, um, the the fact that I didn't have family community and sometimes stress would kick in would derail all my progress. I'd be going great, going strong for weeks on end and like shredding weight and feeling great. And then all of a sudden the lack of connection with community and family would just cause so much stress, anxiety, depression, compounded with like something at work, or just the fact that I was hit by anxiety and depression. It left me vulnerable, and then so work became more stressful, and the things that normally wouldn't stress me out were crippling me. And it all was like, it's interesting that one component of the lifestyle isn't there and we start to fall apart. But when you look at the blue zone, and I'll just quickly pull up my phone as I'm talking. So the blue zone, there's multiple blue zones, and there's a doctor that studied them all, and he looks at lifestyle. And for three of them, one in the States, one in Japan, and one in Italy, I almost found it, they overlap. Uh, the the lifestyles, they have
Why do they call them blue
their
zone?
because the people in the blue zone live to be over 100 years old on average. I believe it's on average, but a lot of them live to be over 100 years old. Not everybody. I'm just trying to find this thing
I wonder how many
here
people right now are over 100. Like, do you think it's
in
like
the,
a thousand people, or
probably
like
a
in
lot.
the?
It's just like I'd have to look up that piece. I haven't read this guy's book yet, but I came across some of the research when I was interested in teaching people about hormones and lifestyle, because I was going to develop a course. And as I'm thinking about the course, like, okay, sleep will be a module, diet will be a module, exercise, family, community will be a module, stress reduction. And I'm like looking at all this, and then I go look at the blue zone, and the guy has something similar in his book, his chapters. He has not sleep, but he has diet and he has family, community. I'm like, oh shit, they just overlap. So I actually reached out to him directly, asking, did you look at hormones when you were doing your? I think it was for his doctorate or whatever,
Right. Yeah.
or he's already a doctor studying it. I mean, I imagine that this was what he did to become a doctor, because now he's all about the blue zone. And they didn't look at hormones, but they looked at lifestyle. So the three different places, at least where he did an overlapping. So imagine three circles overlapping perfectly, and in the middle you have all three overlapping, and it kind of looks like it has three sides. It's kind of like a not a triangle. It's like a triangle with curvy edges.
Curves. Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine you can see what it looks like, almost like a flower. Um, so you had Sardinia in Italy, you have Loma Linda in the United States, and you have Okinawa in Japan. And all three of them, when they overlap, the commonalities are family, no smoking, plant heavy diet, constant moderate physical activity, social engagement, and legumes. So all three of these blue zones have these overlaps. And it makes sense. Like family, without it, we're social, gregarious creatures. So when you take away that part of us, I mean, you're going against evolution. And we get stressed when we're pushed to us. We're hanging out in a group setting and we get pushed to the side because we're acting like an idiot or whatever. We get stressed. We want to be a part of the group because of strength in numbers, as you know. But like family and that acceptance is like it's super important for us. And I was missing that for so long because of the military. And the stress that it was causing was unraveling me, and I kept resetting. So I would do super well, living a healthy lifestyle up until that point, up until family community, and then it kicks in like that stress, that anxiety kicks in. Being alone starts to hurt, and and then it would undo my progress. Like I'd start to not sleep well at nighttime, which would undo my eating, which would screw up my exercise, and then it would like reset. And I started to realize that there was another cycle linked to this too, which was the growth cycle. So I don't know if you ever heard about the comfort zone, or it's the comfort zone cycle, or all the different zones that are linked to the comfort zone. So you got in the smaller circle, you have the comfort zone. Then you have outside of that the fear zone. Then you have the
Oh yeah.
learning zone, and then the growth zone. And I realized that that was also linked to the reset of my lifestyle because as I would get into the growth zone, I would start to push too many limitations and push against discipline, my sleep discipline. And then when you push against your foundation, which is your sleep, it unravels everything. So I have two things that were resetting me. I'm just coming to realize as I'm talking to you. There was the the comfort zone or growth cycle. I'll call it the growth cycle. And then there was the fact that the lifestyle variable of family
Oh
community
yeah.
was missing. And so that was causing me to reset.
Yeah, it does seem like maybe they're related in that like if you don't have community and people like sort of pushing you to try and do things that you wouldn't do yourself, then that limits your growth after a while. Like you just end up going back to the comfort zone because no one is calling you or meeting up or like asking if you want to do some event that you hadn't considered or something. I think I'm very similar. Like in my past history, like that, those same things have happened too. Where yeah, I realize like I'll go through periods where I'm very productive, and then I'll just realize like I don't really have many people around me, like and many community that like is keeping me going, and then I'll sort of stall and not really, and then I'll enter like a period where I don't really accomplish much because I just feel like nothing. Yeah, there's no people to share it with or something.
That's really important, man. I hope you don't forget that and realize that that is missing. And maybe do something about it because don't you want to just keep moving forward and progressing instead of stalling out and repeating that cycle because you are that's it's what it is. You're missing the community, and it was making me sick. And so guess what I did? I went full remote with my job, and I'm not anchored to Ottawa anymore. I
Mm.
just got approval this week.
Oh, nice.
Uh, so it was me pushing to the medical side because it was making me sick. Um, but now I have the freedom to go and see friends and family whenever. And I still, the expectation is I still check my emails twice a day and I still work a bit, but I don't have to go into the office and wear the uniform anymore.
Mm.
And that's a tremendous step in the right direction where, I'm moving closer to family into, people I get along with instead of being isolated in a city where they're cold. The people there are fucking cold.
Yeah.
I really don't like Ottawa, and it was starting to weigh down on me. So, I made changes. So now I'm looking at turning my condo into an Airbnb until I can move, until I can sell it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell that thing because I want to invest on in Vancouver Island. So my relocation would be to Vancouver Island, and then I could look at some opportunities there. But there's no point in me having a foothold in a city that I hate and I never want to visit again, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
That's great. That sounds like a great transition too, like, or just a sustainable way of life. Like if you're fully remote and you have the income coming in, and it's not, the work is not like a burden to you, then that seems like quite sustainable. Like you could achieve a lot of your goals in that state, and then like without even without finding a totally new career or anything, just keep it fully remote and get the income and invest energy into the side projects, maybe until something takes off like in a big way or something like that.
hmm yeah, because I'm not going to put some energy into like learning how to have other income streams like Amazon selling and um,
The
just
backpacking,
learning about.
I'm interested in
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah. They will expect me to work during the week. That's the thing is like I want to get away from the military where that expectation of having to check emails is gone. Unless I can get like
yeah,
unless I can get like a line or like my phone has. So I hear Bell has not Bell but Rogers has infrastructure down that area. So I mean, if I could check my emails, then that's good enough. And you do that
yeah,
each night before calling it a day, and then put the if I have to respond back, then I just have a delay until the next morning. Like I can create my emails and then space them out, so it looks like I'm in the office or in the office, but I'm actually not. I'm backpacking.
yeah. Or just like make use of like the leave, like if you have several backpacking trips planned during the summer months or whatever, then like take the leave, and take a week, take the group out, like as needed. And then I'm always interested in this idea of like leave without pay, and like the military seemed very resistant to give that out. But I always felt like at times I had saved enough money that I just wanted to go for a couple of months, like to Europe or something, and just have a large vacation for a substantial part of the year. And I was sort of being like, just don't, just I'll take leave without pay. I won't take a salary for that vacation time, but I'll just take the time I want. But they wouldn't like approve that. I had to just use my allocated leave. So I wonder what their position is with that now. If somebody said, like just take off like every Friday, leave without pay, or take like 3 months every summer, like 2 months in the winter or something like that, just leave without pay. And just basically it's like it would shift to sort of like almost working part-time or something like
Yeah, I would rather my current arrangement where I just don't work Friday and I get paid for it.
that.
That's the arrangement that I prefer.
Yeah, it's nice to have extended like blocks of time where like there's no, I've found that like if you can get free of all responsibility for like a solid month, then that's a great thing to like arrange somehow. And then if you have, especially like coming back off that month, if you have some kind of secure employment, then it's nice to just be able to be completely free for a certain amount of time and know that you don't have to like job search or anything.
Yeah.
Would you ever go? So you're saying like Vancouver Island is where you'll like sort of migrate to. Would you ever spend? Have you been to like Europe or like other countries? And would you consider like working there like remotely for like a year or something?
No. So I don't want to work in a country abroad. I want to visit for a month. So there's too many places to see to, stay there for a year and just work a fucking day job. The idea is to automate the income. So the new idea that I have is that I sell the Ottawa place when I move. I move to my condo And then when the military gives me my final relocation, because this won't be my final relocation, going to BC, this will be just a paid move. Then I sell my BC condo, all expenses paid for, and I buy in Comox, or I'll see if I can find a loophole in the system which allows me to buy uh, a detached home in that area. So not so. I think they'll give me a final relocation. It doesn't matter where it is in Canada. It can be my final move, right?
That
So
final, yeah, I think
if
there's
I
one
can,
restriction that your final move can't be within the same like city, basically. That's what I've
within
heard.
what?
Like you can't have like a final move that's within like 100 kilometer radius of your current residence, like on release. And it's a weird. I don't know if they still have that restriction or not, but it was to prevent like people from like getting a final move, but only moving like 20K or something like that across town or something like that.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
because
Yeah,
they want to pinch their pennies and not
yeah,
benefit us at all. But it's something to
yeah,
look at because if I can get it, then yeah, I would do that. Because Comox is a decent area, especially like if you want to go skiing. There's a big mountain up there. There's lots of nature, right? So why not get a detached home up that way? I mean, and that could be where I chill and hang up my hat. Because like buying a detached home where I was thinking, it's getting really built up. It's getting real busy in Langford and Victoria area. It's getting real busy, right? So it makes me wonder. But I got options, and that's what matters, right? So the idea would be to get a detached, and then have a basement that I can rent out, ready to go, and upstairs my stuff ready to go. And if I want to go travel, I Airbnb the shit out of it all year round. I can do that because, well, I mean, I guess it would have to be near Victoria in order to really to benefit because it's a super hot spot down there. Like I'm trying to go and get a hotel in Victoria during June, July, and the prices are astronomically expensive.
oh yeah,
So I mean, Airbnbs will just be filled the entire time, and that allows me to go other places. But it's also during that time too. It's like I can choose to host people and give them an experience where they come on the weekend and then we go Monday to Friday do that hiking trip, and then they stay for the weekend and then they leave.
yeah,
I think that'd be pretty cool. So I mean, the thing is, again, I got options, but condos are too restrictive, and the insurance for condos are ridiculous, and the maintenance fees. So I'm paying like $800 a month in maintenance fees.
yeah. I've been so surprised at how high, like looking at like any home in the states. I'm more aware of like the prices in the states, but it's like if you buy like a condo, you're paying like some kind of property tax, and then you're paying like homeowners association fee, and maybe some kind of insurance, and like that all adds up to like a high enough price that it's not even that much different than like a high rent. But then you have to also pay like the mortgage, and that I feel like the standard thing is like you end up paying twice the value of the home in bank fees or whatever over the course of the mortgage.
Yeah,
So
the
yeah,
biggest
it's
problem I have is
weird.
that you have other people that are controlling what you can and can't do with your property.
Oh yeah.
And that's the biggest beef is like both of my condos will not allow Airbnbs.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, I don't like those restrictions. Yeah.
So not a fan. And the one in Ottawa, I'm sorry, but it's direct access. There's no lobby, so there's no reason for them to be restricting me.
Oh yeah. That'd be cool if you got like a property in Comox and then you could build like if it was a nice had like a nice yard or something, you could build like mini homes, like several mini homes, almost like little cabins like on the property with maybe like a communal fireplace or something in the middle. And then
That
like
would be pretty cool.
yeah, that would be a neat like to just start like a little that's like the base of like people can come there, rent a place, then you'll shuttle them to like hiking trails, you'll tell them like where the good hiking is. Maybe launch like a group activity where like book all the Airbnbs for one trip, and then everybody starts and ends there, like for a week of hiking or something.
Great idea.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea of. I like the idea of like just sort of, you know, someone like you sort of are making. You're doing all the logistics for like someone for a trip, like where they just want to go have a good time in like Vancouver Island, and you can sort of just be like, here's one price. I'll handle like the meals, the transport, like the lodging, and make it even like sort of impose on them like this idea of like some kind of spirituality or like Zen retreat or like yoga, like let like sort of guide them through like a process of like I don't know like doing some soul searching or something as well. Like that would be it would be fun to just offer like the ability for people to just come to a place and be like insulated from the world or something. And
Yeah, a full retreat.
yeah, yeah.
If I had a nice property, I could do that. I'd be like Blue Spirit, the Blue Spirit retreat in Costa Rica. That guy pretty much does the same thing. Uh, and he doesn't even like facilitate the spiritual aspect. He just provides food and accommodations, and then the yoga instructors that basically book the trip do all that stuff. They do the programming. So this guy's just laughing. He's just raking in the dough. It's basically it. Accommodations and food. All he has to do is have chefs prepare vegan meals. It's all vegan, and that's it. There's so much opportunity out there. It's just like, having the overhead or the money to be able to get the business. So I'm applying for maximum compensation from Veterans Affairs Canada. I'm going to go to court as well and see if I can get up to $1 million and get the lump sum and go from there.
Why is it up to 1 million? What's special about that figure?
It's 400,000. But if you go take them to court, you can settle for higher.
Huh.
So if I reach 100% claimable, but yet I still have more things to claim, or if I don't, because like they gave me 30% of 400,000 for mental stuff. And when you think about like what you're getting, it's like almost $400 a month so I got the pension, $400 a month for the rest of my life, or a lump sum of 120,000. And when you think about it, that's nothing. That's peanuts. I mean, they do irreversible damage to someone's head, and they affect their quality of life for years and years and years, and for the rest of their life. When you really think about it, $120,000 is not a drop in the bucket when it comes to the compensation that a person should get. Now, that may just be my opinion, but like, if an organization traumatizes somebody, it causes irreversible damage, I, why why is it only 120? I'm pretty sure you can sue for a lot more than that.
Yeah, I wonder if the general rule with investing is if you take like a 120,000 and you invest all of that money, then it should double every 10 years in the stock market. And so I'm just looking at the math here. Like in the ideal case, if you just plunk like 120,000 in investment and then wait 30 years, it should be equal to about 1 million. And then if we then, I'm just wondering like like what's the division? So like 52 weeks a year for 30 years. I guess
Well,
that's
I'll tell you
about
a couple of
yeah,
things. One is I'm
650.
not RRSP is a scam. Fuck that, because it's just holding back taxes for a later time, and all that money you put into RRSP. I mean, by the time if you die, by the time it goes to your beneficiaries, like it's depleted greatly. 4 million would be taxed down to 1 million. It's ridiculous. So tax-free savings account is really the only thing that makes sense, and then that has a limit. So if I try to plop in 120,000 when my limit's only 50, well, there's penalties if you do that.
Yeah.
So there's limitations. Then the rest would have to be capital gains, and you're taxed on that.
Yeah, there's
But
always
yeah,
there's like some amount of tax. Yeah, I
so
always like to see like whenever I think like how much money do I have to have and invest such that approximately 30 years from now when I'm like strongly looking at retirement like at 60 or something, then like it's like how high does my investments have to get so that I can have like 2 or 3 thousand a month like sort of quote unquote pension, but it would just be like from like draining my investments or whatever. And I feel like it's like the younger we are, like if we're just around like 30 years old, then it doesn't take that much money if you just like drop it forever in an investment. I feel like it does actually grow. You just can't really touch it at all until you're like 60 or something. But if
But
you
what's
actually
the
like grow
point?
it,
What's the point of having that kind of wealth at that age? Why not
yeah,
live
it is.
life and experience life when you're young and healthy and like keep your stress down? Because people will work until they retire, and it's like, why? Like I'm ready to
Yeah.
retire. I'm retired right now in my mind, man. Like I don't want to work another day. Like a 9 to 5, never again. I won't do it. Like I just don't want to do it. I can't do it. Now that I have a taste of what it's like to not do it, I don't want to work, man. I really don't, and I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Yeah, I'm in a similar situation. Like it's hard to find motivation to do like the kind of work that I feel like I was doing in the past, just like being like mentally present for 8 hours a day, like being in an office, like uh, like really grinding my work life balance or something for some like in school or whatever. And yeah, now it's very challenging, yeah, to find like the motivation and the drive. Uh, it's I guess now the stage I'm in is just really searching for like how can I work in a way that is like directly pleasing as much as possible, like in the moment. Uh,
Start your own business.
yeah,
That's the way. Don't work for somebody else. Start your own business.
yeah. I wonder.
Because
There's a lot of stuff I enjoy, like video editing, website design. It would be kind of fun too, but I feel like you almost lose a little bit of control there, where like then it's like if you want to make money, you have to be getting clients and meeting deadlines, and that almost seems like a reverse. It's like uh, getting into a pattern of office work is like sometimes more predictable and easy than like the unpredictability of like the if I was just like an independent person both trying to get clients and do client work at the same time. It's hard to
why don't you
yeah.
start exploring all the different ways you can make automated income, like selling through Amazon or affiliate marketing or things like that.
If I could
And like
yeah,
learn that and put
yeah,
your time and energy into that and build that up, and then slowly, that way you can walk away, or at least I can give you the income needed to survive to free you to be able to pursue full time something you're more interested in. So like if you want to build websites or you want to do other type of contract work, you pick and choose what you want to do for fun. You don't actually need to do it. So
yeah,
you can pick the contracts that are larger, that take more time, that don't pay out right away, and you can enjoy doing that for fun and then take it day by day. Like large contracts would take a year, and you get paid at the end, or you get paid a little bit up front, but you're not needing that to survive because you have these automated incomes that are paying for your cost of living.
yeah.
And then move the fuck out of that area
The
and
expensive, yeah.
buy a home and set some roots down in the community or an area where you can actually build a community or be a part of one, and go from there. So it's like we're limited with the way we think because we just don't know what's out there, right? It's not until we come across people with out of the box thinking that we're like, holy shit, because that 4 hour work week was way ahead of its time. Year like that was, how long between 2008 and the pandemic? 12 years ish,
Right.
11, 12 years. That's a long time. That's a long, way ahead of its time. If I would have read that book, I would have been like, yeah, fat chance I'm never gonna be able to do that. I just started university.
Right.
Like we just started RMC when that book was. I think the book came out before 2008, and he did a revision for 2008. But if I read something like that, that could have been transformational at that age.
You mean like how do you think it would affect you given that like if we're signed up we just got to go through with university so we wouldn't really have the freedom until at least graduation or something.
If I could do other things, if I could do things differently, And if I read that book, there was an opportunity for me to make a tremendous amount of money from this guy named Ray, uh, ex's father-in-law, who had his own business. He went from being on the board of like this lumber company to developing his own quality assurance company for brands. And he offered me like a tremendous amount of money for me to handle Kingston. And I walked away from it thinking like, oh, I didn't have time. I'm too busy. But if I could go back in time, I would have just skipped intramurals. I would have just said, fuck you to all these additional expectations that were not adding value. They weren't paying me enough for my time. Like, yeah, they're paying me to go to school, but then they want me to do this other shit in the evening, right? And it's just like, you're not paying me for this. Like, this is ridiculous. And I should have, I would do things differently if I was able to go back. I would. And if I read that book too, then I probably would have like looked at other. I would have been more willing to look at like Amazon or these were new
Yeah,
companies at the time,
it was quite new at that time.
and I would have spent some time looking into that. I would have recommended to you or Ben. You guys love computers, or I don't know if you love. You're an RMC.
Yeah, I was at RMC, but this was almost like before I was very into computers. Was the RMC time, and I don't know.
Oh,
My regret is during lunch one time I overheard like some guy was talking to us, and he was talking about Bitcoin in like 2008 or 2009. And I thought it sounded like weird and funny at that time, like Bitcoin, like what is that, like internet money, and I didn't really think much of it. But then I started hearing more about it, and then I got in like middle of the pack later. But I kept thinking back to that conversation. I was like, oh, that's what that guy was talking about, like Bitcoin. He just told me about it like 4 years in advance of when I actually like seriously looked into it. So I always thought that was funny.
yeah, I heard about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency twice, and yeah,
Cryptocurrency is funny because it's like one investment that anyone in the world could have made, and they would have made more money than they would have in any other way. Like there's all these people like the entire Wall Street, like all these like CEOs, massive companies like grocery store like executives, and if any one of them had just bought this like crypto coin, they could have made all the money they wanted, but they're too busy like chasing like some smaller amount of money like by operating an actual business. It's just kind of funny like how much of the world, including myself, like sort of missed the opportunity of like investing early in crypto and then just having that be the one thing you have to do in life.
yeah,
But who knows? I think these like like looking into the past and like reworking things. I feel like since we obviously like can't change it, I feel like the way stuff did happen, like the way stuff is happening right now, the stuff that we did do in life, I feel like it's kind of fun to like reflect on how like that shapes exactly like who we are. Like had we done anything different, we would be different than we are now. We wouldn't be the same person. Like we wouldn't even have this realization that things could have been done like a different way. We would just be living a different life and perhaps not arriving at this like same like awareness of the preciousness of decisions or something.
yeah.
But yeah, also I always feel like whatever opportunity we had like back then, I feel like there's kind of like opportunities today. Like if we just fast forward another like 20 years, we'll probably be looking back at right now and thinking like we should have done stuff differently. But of course, like there's no way for us to know now what we should do or shouldn't do. We just have to go off of like take all the information we have and then make the best decision and then just decide to be happy with that, whatever the outcome is. And that's, I don't know, I find it very fun to think along those lines of sort of like it's more about just being happy with whatever is happening rather than trying to like over optimize or predict something.
Yeah, well, just like having gratitude for what you have in the moment.
Yeah.
And we tend to not do that. We tend to always want more
Yeah.
growth. I was just saying that today. It's like just, or was it yesterday? Just being able to be present and have gratitude for what you have. And yeah, I mean, that takes practice.
Yeah, and retreats like we were talking about. Like I would like to go on more retreats. There's specific ones. Like I'm not super into like yoga, but yoga might work for me like in a retreat. But lately I've been learning about this thing called like tea ceremony. Like they were like popular in Japan where there's like this kind of tea ceremony where there's like a very simple room with two mats on the floor and you like make the tea and drink the tea and you're mostly like silent and you're just sort of reflecting on the moment and like being mindful. And so I'm kind of interested in an idea of like a like a tea ceremony retreat or
You
just
can,
some kind of yeah.
yeah, you can do that every day in your house, man.
Yeah, that's what's kind of fun that I'm realizing is I could just like in my local city, like I could find like a place to get tea, a nice walking trail, and then I could write up like a blog post that's just sort of like instructions, like anyone else that's in the same city, just follow these set of instructions that I've developed, and of course like they're just there for they could just be there for free, or make like a YouTube video like recounting like this is the tea house, this is the price, like this is the walking path, and this is what you should sort of like strive to like think about, and it would be kind of fun to just like release that, and then whoever finds it can just go on this like self-guided tour essentially, or even for myself like I could follow my own video in the future, and it's fun to be able to like deliver value without having me to incur like any expense.
Yeah, or without doing something thinking that you need to make money. Just like
Yeah.
a nice little thing that could benefit you or others. I think that's nice. Like to do things always for money. Like I like helping people reduce shit, clean, organize, purge, refine. Come up with systems, automation. Like I do that for fun. I don't do it because
Yeah.
I expect something, right? It brings me joy. Uh, I want to do that. That's what I want to do with my time. I want to help people out.
It
So
would
I
be
like that volunteer.
fun. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Oh, you were saying you're going to volunteer or something?
but like yeah. So like I want to help Thomas out doing some redoing his deck. His whole he has like an enclosed deck. He just basically has to redo the whole bloody thing, and then I want to help him do drywalling in the basement, and I want to help my friend Brian do some leveling in the basement as well as drywalling and stuff. Like I want to do these things to help people and at the same time learn new skills, which
What
I think
even
would be
is
nice.
leveling?
So you get some self-leveling concrete and you just lay it out and makes it just flat so that you can put laminate down because laminate requires a certain it's a very small
Yeah.
error range for laminate.
Oh. Huh.
And the contractor that did it the first time did a really shit job. Didn't even use self-leveling concrete. Just I don't know what the hell they did. They were just incompetent. So Brian's like, oh, I have $5,000 laminate that's just sitting. I can't use it. I'm gonna have to put down carpet. I'm like, no, man. You can use. There's a different way. Thomas has done self-leveling concrete in his kitchen, and it worked out well because he wanted to lay down tiles. So I know it can work. It's a tremendous amount of work, but so Brian's gonna have to tear up this layer of wood that was put down, and then put the self. We have to move everything out of the basement first, which is a tremendous, tremendous task, and then remove all the flooring, the wood floor that's down there. That it's like a cheap wood. Um, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a fake wood that's made out of sawdust and shit, or like bits of wood, and then he rips that up, and then he has the bare floor. Then he can use the concrete.
Huh.
So we're talking like 2, 3 days of work.
That sounds like more more than 2 3 days. If I guess you
Well,
work
with me
efficiently.
there, help him move his shit out. That's a half a day. Tearing up the floor would be half a day. The leveling would be a full day.
That's a full workout. Many muscles that are not regularly used as well. Like, Uh,
Yeah, yeah, going up and down the
yeah,
stairs with weights and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, like at weird, like holding like weird angles. Uh, that stuff. Yeah, I feel like I would definitely feel that like even like just repetitive like strain injuries like from holding different tools and stuff like that.
yeah. But this is like a one time, like once a week, once a month, once a
Yeah,
quarter thing, right? So you do it every day. I see that can be repetitive. But it's like me sitting at the laptop. I don't have a proper ergonomic setup, but I do it for such a short duration of time that
oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't matter. Like 30 minutes goes by, I'm like, okay, it's starting to hurt. I get up, do something else, come back to it. 30 minutes, hour a day, maybe.
Yeah.
And it's just when you're doing something for a prolonged period of time, that's when it becomes a problem. Because we're not evolved for that. We're not evolved for sitting in front of a computer all day. We're not evolved for using a hammer or a drill repeatedly all day. We're not designed for repetitive movements. The only repetitive movement we're designed for is like walking.
Yeah. Actually, that's interesting. Actually, yeah, like that we're so good at walking.
Hmm.
I guess we just, yeah, we
That's how
just
we navigate the world.
do it. Yeah, we have no choice but to train walking.
Yeah.
It's funny how quickly though, like you know those workouts where it's like a group workout and they'll be like, oh, do a squat, do a push up, like do those little mountain climber things, and people are like there'll be music or something, people are jumping around. I find it like if I do one of those randomly, the next day I'll feel all these like tight muscles in my body because I so rarely do all those kind of movements. So it's like interesting to see how quickly I can just jump around a bit, like do some squats and stuff like that, like at the instruction of like an instructor, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, like I haven't used all these like muscles in so long that like they get like overwhelmed by like a 30-minute like dance style workout or something.
Yeah, but like in nature, would we ever do
Yeah.
something like that? I don't think so.
Yeah, I guess
So it's
in
like,
yeah in nature maybe it would be more of a constant like if we're not in I guess in the woods like we're rarely walking on a level surface and we're like maybe carrying various rocks and stuff like that like around, and
yeah,
maybe the muscles just maybe the natural movements of that uh, support, but like yeah in day-to-day life there's so little reason to use those muscles that they get like forgotten about basically.
right. Or we do that exercise and then we sit on our asses and we don't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're like that per se, but I mean a lot of people are. They'll go work out and then they won't do anything else for the rest of the day. They'll drive and they'll
Yeah,
sit and drive and
it's an easy like mistake to make because like you'll do a workout and then you'll just sit around like on the computer and yeah
yeah. But if you're moving around
yeah
all the time, would your
yeah
muscles tighten up as much? I don't know. I don't think so.
yeah, they'd probably like naturally like the blood would keep flowing. They'd get a natural like more of a recovery, I guess.
That's what I think. But we don't do that, and though we don't live in the conditions where we can do that. We can't be outside
Yeah.
all the time. We can't. We could try, but
Until we get like AR headset where we can just see all the stuff that we normally see on the computer, but like projected into our vision, and then but also like have great battery life and be able to just yeah then we can like be outside all the time and just like be doing small amounts of work like as we as we vacation.
see what I would like is like you have your own property. And you got to maintain that property, and you plant flowers and you plant a garden, or if you have animals to take care of, get you out of the house every single day. So like a farmer, for instance,
Oh yeah.
Emily's dad, bee farmer, right? Did harvesting, planting of wheat, and took care of the cows. And if he also did gardening, I mean, he'd be busy all the time. He was always active, always doing stuff, puttering around. And then I went to Tanya's family farm, and her father, Ken, always puttering around, always doing something on his feet all day. I mean, that's the lifestyle. I mean, it's not like how we evolved, but they're mobile every single day doing stuff, and that's what keeps them going. Really, I mean, healthy. They're old, but yet quite healthy.
Yeah, it's kind of neat too that like the stuff they're doing maybe is more like directly practical. Like
Yeah.
they are like growing food and repairing like parts of their home, which like have an immediate like perhaps quality of life improvement on like their day to day. So I feel like there's the feedback loop is tighter versus like we can remain occupied like doing like playing video games, reading online news, but like there's no that doesn't actually like change our immediate environment in any way.
Right. Exactly. It's an escape more than anything else. But if you can
Right.
actually like see what you're doing and you can see the growth, that's amazing. So, like owning a homestead would be pretty cool. Um, Being able to maintain that. I mean, there's some upfront costs and there's some skill required, but I think that'd be an interesting way of life, a challenging and rewarding way of life.
Is there anything with that though that would make it hard to like leave that homestead for like like a extended like a month long vacation? Like, would you? How would you handle?
Absolutely. If you had
Yeah.
livestock, for sure. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to leave for that long. You would need to have somebody there to take care of it,
Is
and that
there
would be
like
limited.
a yeah? Would
Mhm.
you like how would you handle that? Would you just accept that, or would you try to find someone like occasionally to like take it over?
I don't know if a homestead would be compatible with what I want to do.
Yeah,
So,
or
like,
like
if
the
I want to
animals would
go to
be
different
staying.
countries for a month at a time, a homestead would require me to be there to maintain it. The only way a homestead would work is if I lived there with a separate family.
Yeah.
So that would work. So Thomas and Alina, they want to buy a homestead in Nova Scotia. So if I lived there with them, that would work because they can maintain the homestead while I'm away. And that would work because he's a gardener, she's a gardener, they do all that stuff. They love that stuff.
Huh.
And I can benefit from it and partake and learn from them, but also that this wouldn't be my asset. So an idea that I have is, to live with them would be, I don't know, I don't think I need to live with them because I would have my stuff in BC. But an option would be is like I can go live with them for a month
Right.
and we can make this like a yearly reoccurring thing. Maybe during the busiest time of the year where they need the extra hand. So I show up and I live with them for a month and my place in BC's Airbnb'd out. So, making money, it's paying for itself and then some. And then, I can contribute to the household there by giving them some of the access that I'm gaining and then help them out by with the physical labor, right? So then that's an option. And but my home base would probably be Vancouver Island still because I could just leave it, Airbnb it out, and then go. You can't Airbnb a homestead. That requires constant attention. So it's neat because there's options, and they could work if you have the right setup. I do find though that a homestead and the dream could be a combination of having a homestead that is an Airbnb with a family there that runs it when you're gone. That could be the dream. So like let's say if I get a place where I want to be, could have a family living with me that I trust, and there's a whole bunch of rooms or like a whole basement suite or a whole separate house that is Airbnb out that basically pays for the entire homestead and then some. It's totally doable. I mean, I stepped foot into $1 million home in Comox that my aunt and uncle were house sitting for this couple that were touring Europe, and basically they got to stay in this massive guest house that was more than what I would need for more than a small family would need. It had a garage and everything, and then they stayed there, and they were at the same time renovating their RV. And then they're like, "Why don't you guys come up for a visit?" And then she asked the owner, like, "Can my brother and his son come and stay with us, and can we use the main house?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure. Eat the food, drink the booze. We're not here. Enjoy." And so we stayed in their home, and it was right by the mountain. We could go up to the mountain. It was like winter time, so in BC, down at the base of the mountain was just a little bit of rain, mostly nice temperate weather, and then you go up the mountain and it's snow
Right.
oasis.
Yeah, that's neat.
So absolutely ideal. So you could do that. You could have, one family living in that big house with you because it's such a big home, and then you can have that small guest house that's Airbnb'd out all year round, and you can make enough money to be able to pay for your property tax and that house, pay for that house. It's incredible. And if you have that family's income as well, it's living with you, say they're working a day job or have some sort of business, and that further pads your wallet. Thing is, it takes money to have that. So it's like it just ties back to the saying, like, it takes money to make money. So I could start
Yeah.
off with having, consolidating my assets and buying a detached, but the detached probably won't be a multi-million dollar home. I won't have enough equity for that unless my mom dies and my dad dies, and they give, and I'm lucky to get any from things from the inheritance because I just owned my parents.
Oh yeah.
Well, my dad guilted me on Father's Day for not sending him a message, and I said, "Listen, you're lucky that I'm considering you even a friend. You didn't raise me, man. You weren't in my life, and you live a selfish life right now. Like, you owe me at least 500,000."
Yeah, that's
It's
tough.
like, I didn't say that part, but I'm like, listen, man, I'm at the point now where I'm coming to accept that I'm not a son to anybody. I don't have parents. You guys aren't parents. You guys are fucking deadbeats living for yourselves. I've seen what parents are like. Parents that are
Yeah.
invested in their kid. I had a taste of that a day before Father's Day.
Mm.
I see my Katie's parents, my friend Katie's parents. They have a home for her. She has a room there. They go hang out with her. They go barbecues together. They travel to Vietnam to visit her. Like, they're actively in her life and
Yeah.
engaged. I don't have parents like that. So though I don't have parents, they're not in my life and actively trying to be in my life. Then they're not parents. They're fucking useless.
Yeah, it's a tough
So
situation. Yeah.
I told them, I was like, you live just like my mom. You live for yourself. You're selfish, and you don't. I don't have parents. I have to accept that fact. So it's like, what am I getting at here? Basically, I mean, my dad has everything he's ever worked for saved up and invested. He has no dependents outside of no dependents. Period. I'm his only offspring. I mean, I just disowned him though. So I don't know if he's gonna be spiteful and then give it away to somebody else. But if both my parents die and I'm in their will, then I might have enough equity to be able to have the dream that I want. But it's like, here's the thing: is like, they weren't in my life. I'm bitter for it, and I don't want anything to do with them. So that it might be like them to actually cut me out. Fuck, man. What a legacy to leave behind, where your kid hates you because you're useless.
Yeah, it's I guess that's what I would expect like from some humans, like just knowing like the wide spectrum of human nature. It's very tough to deal with though. Like it's yeah, it's definitely like a privilege to have like going back to like community. Like parents are just sort of like a free part of community or whatever. And if they fail you, then you have to do I guess you got to do the work to like find, the community on your own, which like it seems like you're accomplishing that. Like the communities that you've started to form seem like you're on a good journey to like replace like the community that you don't necessarily get from like family with like equally reliable people or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I went to a couple weekends ago. I went to that family farm there, Tanya, Ken's farm. I helped build a platform with a 12-year carpenter. And one of the nights we had a bonfire. We're celebrating this woman's birthday. Her name's Kim, and they were curious about my story, and they asked me, and then I ended up telling them a little bit about it, and then I ended up like breaking down.
Mm.
Actually, full out bald, full out, full out man cred, just bald. I haven't done that in my life, man. I haven't done that,
Mm.
especially in front of strangers. I
I
guess
think
I
that's
felt,
good. That's very good though. That's like a therapeutic sort of thing.
yeah. Um, I would say that, and the fact that they didn't just look at me awkwardly, like I had two heads. They all got up and they all surrounded me and they all smothered me with hugs and reassured
Wow.
me that it's going to be okay. And it wasn't just like a 2-second hug; it was like a good 2-minute hug. and we were all just like sort of entangled in this sort of
That's nice.
ball of cuddles, yeah. And I keep thinking about that. And I told him I wouldn't forget it, and I'm not going to forget it because like sometimes I just want to pull away from the community and like fuck it, just want to be myself. But then I remember they did that, and I was like, that's what I've been looking for. Why am I going to run away from that?
Yeah.
I think part of it's because I don't think I deserve it, and I got to like really challenge these thoughts because they're not correct.
Yeah, I don't think there is, I don't think us there's nothing we can do to like deserve anything or not deserve anything. It's sort of just like I think, if we are welcomed into a community, then we become part of that community and we can repay that community by, reflecting, like if they show us love, then we reflect back to other people, we bring other people into the community, and that like by we can sort of like in some way like work off our debt, to the community, like whatever they give us, we can in turn give to someone else and like spread the love or something. But that's the only,
Hmm.
I feel like we can sort of be in service, we can like sort of enjoy doing service and helping others like in a community, and there's no sense of like not earning it or something.
Yeah, so I'll keep at it. It would be nice to have the because like it's at the point where it's like I don't have parents. They've never really benefited me. So to me, it doesn't matter if they're alive or dead. But if they're dead and I'm in their will and I get a bunch of money for it, then that's great. And then I can actually like do what I'm dreaming of, right? Then they actually contributed, took them the entire generation, but then I could actually lead the life that I want and do better, even though they haven't done a single fucking thing outside of dying. So their legacy benefit they offered, I'm their legacy, but the only benefit they offered me is the fact that they died. That's pretty fucking sad. But to take that and to build something from that, that would be incredible. And I think that would be something worth being, something I could be proud of, really and truly.
Yeah, I think
So, I mean,
either
that's,
way, like I don't feel like the money needs to necessarily be there. I feel like either way, the path you're on is good. Like it sounds like you sort of have a clear idea of how you want to sort of live your life, and whether or not you acquire the money needed to achieve the full vision. I feel like it's really just about like putting in the work. Like any amount of money that is not given to you, you can probably just it just means a slightly harder, you got to put in more work and time, but then whatever the outcome is, like I feel like the path you're on sort of makes sense. So I feel like it's not like you lose if you don't come out with enough money or something.
yeah, I lose if I stay in my comfort zone. I lose if I stay in the military. And I'm not going to lose anymore. I think I spent just the right amount of time in to be able to get the
Right.
benefits from it.
Yeah,
And
like
by
you
the
got
time
the
I'm
growth you
transitioned,
need. Yeah.
by the time I transitioned out, it will be 20 years, and 20 years guarantees me a 40% pension, even if I don't qualify for the medical disability one, which is 75%. So, and these next 3 years, well, two of them pretty much are me transitioning out, and then 1 year retention if I choose to take it. Um, that means for an easier living for the rest of my life. 40% pension. I'm minimalist. I don't need a lot to survive. I really don't.
Yeah.
So at least I have that lifeline now. I mean, I've had to sacrifice quite a bit for it, but these final years, I really don't need to work hard. I don't. I'm just going to coast to the end and find the things that I've been missing and do the things that I enjoy. I think it's incredible. And on the way, I'm going to be teaching people about lifestyle and maybe, you know, make something of that, like a course, and really get out there. Maybe run a TED talk and talk about that because, you know, like I said, there's these partial truths out there. Steve Harvey has a partial truth,
Yeah.
right? Like he doesn't have the full truth. He doesn't have the solution. He thinks he has something. He's on to something, but he's missing the hormone piece. for
Yeah.
sure. The man's overworked. The man's stressed. He also doesn't sleep that great. So
Yeah.
if he were to sleep 8 hours, he's sleeping 6 hours. If he sleeps 8 hours and he reduces stress by reducing his workload, because he has to wake up and do like this radio show, and then he has a couple of day shows, and then he has an evening show. And he's like, no, just fucking cut it out. Like, cut the morning show, work out in the morning when your testosterone's highest, do your day shows, and stop the evening shit so you can actually enjoy the fruits of your labor, and go to bed and sleep 8 hours. If he really wanted to, have a healthier lifestyle, he would just make some cuts to his his what's the word
Yeah.
for it?
Schedule or whatever it's
His
yeah.
business.
Yeah.
There's another word I was looking for, but we'll just say business. And that's what he needs to do. And it's that simple. He doesn't need to take a fucking shake. He needs to eat healthy. But I mean, like, he's missing sleep. That's why his energy is shit. Fuck. But like, how many scientists does it take to tell him that? Well, apparently not. Three is not enough. None of them could figure it out. And that's what I want to teach people. It's like, it's the solution is so obvious. It's glaring at us. It's hiding in plain sight, and yet we don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, the more different communities
So
that I
yeah.
hear, like a lot of people are saying similar things with different language, and I guess, these same ideas of just how to live like a balanced life have emerged in different cultures, and so then you have like a different version of it from every culture at least, and then every time someone makes a new product and wants to sell something like new and exciting, they rework like the same ideas again. It's just about getting the nutrition that you need, but they've invented some new form which they claim is better, and they use like slightly different language to get everyone excited again, and but it always comes back to like the same. Yeah, it is. There's some kind of true minimum form to all this that is, turns out to be quite like inexpensive and doable, but it's people are very confused from all these different like variations of it. It would be nice to
Hmm.
just bring it all together like in one package that's not being sold to people, just being information given to them in a nice form or something.
Hmm. So success leaves clues, and the people who live 100 years in the blue zones, they are the pinnacle of success when it comes to lifestyle. They have left all the clues, and the doctor has consolidated all the research to tell us. Now, going one step further is what I want to do is explain the hormones behind it so that we actually have an understanding of the biochem and what's happening at a fundamental level. Because for me, I think education enables better decisions. It's one thing to know that this works, but it's another thing entirely to understand why it works and how and what happens in our system. And when one part component's missing, then you can actually, you know, understand why that went wrong and make that tweak. So it's like if you know how a car works and you understand like when things start to flicker or stutter. I mean, there's like you could kind of guess, be like, oh, maybe it's the oil, maybe it's that. But when you really truly know the workings of a car, I mean, the inner workings of a car, I'm going to compare it to hormones, even though it's not really the same thing. When you really truly understand the inner workings of a car, to like to the point where you listen to a vibration made by your car and you can tell what's off with it, and you know exactly what you need to do to fix it, like what components off, or like what tweak you got to make, or what fluid levels off. You can get to that point with your body when you understand your hormones.
Yeah, that's neat.
So yeah, but like you can have a general understanding of lifestyle where it's like, okay, my car's not working properly. Could be the oil, could be the battery, and then you try to troubleshoot a little bit, and then you end up having to take it into a shop, and they'll tell you something's wrong with your Cadillac converter. But like when you really get it, and you understand it, then you can immediately make tweaks on your own without someone else's help. Um, and I find that just with my basic understanding of endocrinology, I can do that. Still don't have it all. Just scratch the surface, but getting there. I think everybody can benefit from this.
Yeah.
But that's a 5 to 10 year horizon for me. I don't need to do that right now. There's so many other things I want to get going and do.
Yeah. Yeah, more yeah, do stuff in like priority order, I guess.
Yeah, like this summer is just me living, having experiences, backpacking, seeing people, going to a festival. And then, kind of in between setting up that Airbnb, so I'm making some money on the way while I'm doing all that shit. But, like what I've learned though is we are all shit at multitasking. Women say they're good at it. No, no one's good at multitasking. You gotta do one thing and do it until it's done and then move on. Otherwise, is you spread your energy, you tap into your bandwidth more and more, and then just you don't get the thing done. And if anything, it starts to cause stress because you have all these tasks or these projects that you've created that you haven't done. So you just gotta do something and finish it.
Yeah, that's definitely where I am trying to like focusing on I call it like shipping stuff, like finishing stuff, getting stuff out there, and not forever delaying because of concerns about like quality or whatever. Just doing the things that I want and getting them like out there where other people can benefit from it. Uh, that's a fun like cycle to be in.
Mm-hmm. Because I've been holding off this Airbnb idea because of worry about risk and damage, but also there's like so many little things I feel like I need to do to make it the best experience for the customer. And then I see it done from Michelle, and it doesn't have to be perfect to still have an income. There's She's still learning, and there's mistakes that are made on the way, and tweaks that she has to do. Like for instance, one of the Airbnbers wanted a dustpan and a broom, which wasn't in the unit. But for me, like I'm trying to think about every single possible thing that's needed and then get it all there and get it there. But I'm still gonna miss stuff. But I'm trying to come up with the 100% solution before I start this thing. And from what I've seen, like looking at what Michelle's doing, is like I don't need a 100% solution. 75 is good enough because my standard is really high.
Yeah.
But I can get somebody in there who just doesn't give a shit about any of that stuff.
Yeah, if you can get like a 70% solution and then within the first few renters, you've bumped it up, like you got feedback from them, you get closer to 80 or 90. And I don't think there's ever any way to like get everything perfect in advance. You have to do like some almost like some user testing with the first few people, like beta test.
Right. I think it's time I pull the trigger, get the 75% or 80%, pull the trigger. I know there's a couple things that will make or break the experience right now that I know that there's some things that will break the experience that I need to take care of, but it won't be a lot of work to get to that point.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate the chat,
Yeah,
and
that was nice.
it's gonna be a while before we can chat again. It seems so. Let's keep in
Yeah, at
touch.
least. Yeah, we'll keep in touch. Yeah, enjoy your backpacking.
Thanks, man, and you have a good trip too.
Thanks.
All right, have a good one.
Yeah, I'll see you.